Good afternoon, Scotty. Happy Friday, October 30th. This is a response to your last video that you sent last Friday. It's a couple days late. And I wanted to start out by saying that I thoroughly enjoyed your last video. It made me smile. It's engaging. I know you mentioned a few things a lot about being mindful and noticing ourselves and how we come across and how we project in this format. And I do find that very interesting because I'm not used to seeing myself like this. It's just interesting. Every little things that I'd never have thought about before, I'm just thinking about how they come across, including voice tone, including appearance, everything. And so it's very interesting to get this different perspective. It's almost like I feel like I get to be in the perspective of the person I'm talking to, and there's definitely a lot of things that I'm learning about myself by doing that. So I've been finding a lot of value and stimulation in that. In regards to the time question, it sounded like the two main areas of time that you focus on are, one, you talked about time before death, and you also talked about time to accomplish something within a day, so the long term versus the short term. And I thought that was really, that stuck in my mind, the way of breaking that down in those two ways, because to me it's so important to have both of those in mind at the same time, but they're almost opposing forces, because sometimes what you want in the future means you have to do something that you don't want to do now, and vice versa. And I find that it's very intuitive and natural for me to think about the future, about time before my death, how much time do I have left to accomplish whatever I want to accomplish, and not so much about accomplishing everything on a small day-to-day level, which I believe is definitely one of my weaknesses because I'm unbalanced in that area. It's very easy for me to kind of think about the future and feel comfortable guessing what are the possibilities, what can I envision, what can I make happen, and I enjoy that a lot. But at the same time, on the opposite side, I actually probably dislike doing the day-to-day stuff, making schedules, writing down my daily goals, making sure I accomplish them. And so we kind of talked about ways. I think the last time we were on the phone, we talked about that I like sometimes just to check something off the list just to get it done, because it gets me in the mindset and to the habit of just accomplishing the short-term things, no matter how small they are, just getting them done and off the plate. And I feel like that really helps free up my mind, free up my time to continue to work towards those more important goals of what we want with our family, with our wealth, with our relationships, with our health. And so that's kind of my take on it. I find the whole question very interesting, and I think we could talk many weeks just about that issue. I also want to touch base about the other topics you brought. Number one, I thought your story of the daylight saving times was very interesting, and I did know something about the reasoning why for daylight savings. I did know that it saved electricity. I didn't know to what extent. The reason I know that is because a couple years back, when they actually shortened the daylight savings period, they did so because it sounds like there's some research showing that what it seemed like to be a savings before is being spent in other areas. So maybe if there's less electricity used on lights, it may cause people to use more electricity doing something else that's actually using more energy. So I think there's a big question about whether we should just get rid of this daylight savings time completely, which is interesting because it's just been like that so long. But also, ironically, I grew up in Arizona and my parents in Puerto Rico, and those are some of the only two, I think there's a couple more, but the two places that daylight savings time doesn't exist. So my whole life I've grown up not dealing with daylight savings time, and but there you have it. The second thing is I loved the Ramit Sethi video that you sent, or that you told me to look up. I looked it up, and I also looked up how to pronounce his name because you made me think. It sounds like it's Ramit Sethi. And another interesting thing is he's actually one of the first people that I ever interacted with online. I signed up for his newsletter. I remember there was like 10 hacks to help your life. And he had written, this is when he was starting his blog, and he wrote an article about that. And I remember two things he said. To lose weight, it was about health related. And I actually follow him on Twitter. And his health related issues were about working out. And he said that you can improve your frequency of going to the gym just by taking your clothes, your gym clothes, and folding it and putting it right next to your bed, so that when you wake up, the first thing you see is your clothes right there. It's kind of like a cue thing to trigger your habit. And the second thing was losing weight by weighing yourself. He said you don't need to do any workout, you don't need to do anything, just weigh yourself every day, and it's proven to make you lose weight. And that's because I think bringing it into your mind and being mindful of something automatically triggers your mind and your subconscious just to take action upon that. And usually, if we're weighing ourselves, it's because there's a reason for it. We probably want to make some type of change. And so just being aware of that fact makes you already do that change, even subconsciously, without even putting in effort. So I thought that was interesting. And that goes in line also with what you talked about, putting your goals for each time frame, having them laid out that you think is very important. And that spoke to me a lot because the most successful people I know have very good organization, and I'm trying to get that for myself. So the final thing is, in regards to that video, I thought is also funny about that the guy looked like Penguin, because he definitely looked very strange. He looked like a young Oswald Cobblepot, I would say. And but it was interesting to watch and to learn from, and it also made me, doing these videos, I think I mentioned that it makes me feel a little self-conscious, just looking at myself in a way that I'm not used to. But compared to that guy, I think I'm doing pretty good. So that gave me a big boost of confidence. But anyway, the final thing I'll leave you with is to start, I don't know what topic, maybe this is the third video, so maybe you want to start with a new topic or a different topic next week with your response. So I'd be looking forward to that, or to continue along on this topic, and I'm looking forward to your response.